Coming up after the break, what President Obama has to say about the situation in Ukraine. Stephanie has your World News Minute, and John will tell you all about this week's weather.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Give up on sex, don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
I'm Sean Stiles.
And I'm Jeremy Rodriguez. Welcome to the National Rundown. 3 children were pulled from a sinking minivan after the mother drove the vehicle into a rough surf on a Florida beach. 21-year-old Stacy Robinson says he jumped out of his car and started walking beside the vehicle. Luckily, one of the windows was still cracked open, and Robinson was able to reach in and open the door. 2 of the children, aged 9 and 10, were rescued by Robinson, while the other child, aged 3, was rescued by lifeguards and bystanders.
And now we figure out what Obama's thoughts are on the Ukraine.
Just hours after Russian soldiers fired warning shots during a standoff with unarmed Ukrainian troops in Crimea, President Obama accused Russia of violating international law.
President Putin seems to have a different set of lawyers making a different set of interpretations, but I don't think that's fooling anybody.
The White House and the Kremlin are going back and forth over Russia's occupation of the southeastern Ukrainian region. In his first extended comments since his troops seized Crimea, Russian President Vladimir Putin insisted Ukraine's acting president was installed in a coup and says Russia will take all measures to protect the rights of Russian-speaking citizens if asked. Secretary of State John Kerry pushed back.
And I think that it is clear that Russia has been working hard to create a pretext for being able to invade further.
President Obama says he will continue to make calls to international leaders to de-escalate the situation as his administration weighs sanctions against Russia.
This is not something we are seeking to do. This is something Russia's choices may force us to do.
During his stop in the Ukrainian capital, Secretary Kerry visited the memorial to dozens of civilians killed during street protests that ousted President Viktor Yanukovych. Kerry presented a $1 billion U.S. aid package to help the acting government. Craig Boswell for CBS News, the White House.
The reconnaissance. Matthew McConaughey's change from comedic actor to Oscar winner was brought upon by his wife and kids. Having played in many comedic roles, his family gave him the extra push to make the transition to dramatic films, pushing his career in the right direction.
21-year-old Texas student and spring breaker Rennie Jose is missing in Panama City, Florida. His friends contacted the police Tuesday morning to report him missing from their beachfront rental. Sound machines have been causing an uproar with parents, apparently causing permanent hearing loss in babies. Researchers found that sounds emitted from them cause permanent hearing loss in 1 in 4 babies. Recommendations for the parents are to use the machines as little as possible with the sounds at a low level.
A mother, father, and their daughter were arrested in their $1.3 million home in Chicago after going on a 3-day shopping spree through Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Texas. The family targeted dolls, toys, cosmetics, and other valuables worth $7 million. The high school senior, Rachel Canning, is suing her parents for kicking her out and being unable to support her family financially. New Jersey judge denied their teenager's request for financial assistance from their parents.
According to a new study, paleontologists believe that they may have found the largest dinosaur in all of Europe. The dinosaur, Torvosaurus agurni, was believed to be 33 feet long, weighed 44 to 5 tons, and bared large, blade-shaped teeth. The remains were discovered at the Lorena Formation north of Lisbon. The dinosaur appears to have been a carnivore that ate herbivorous dinosaurs.
Worker takes fake bomb to New Mexican school. The individual decided to bring the bomb for training purposes but did not let anyone know. The sheriff's office said that the worker wouldn't be prosecuted since he didn't mean to break the law. Popular food chain Chipotle released an annual report claiming global warming may affect the availability of some of their ingredients, such as guacamole. The company says the cost of the ingredients goes up. The possibility of temporarily suspending the dip is very real.
Coming up next, a recap of what happened during the Oscars, and the bad karma continues as Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom's house was robbed.
Fantasy League?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
I can't seem to save anything.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Test will come in 2016 and will include an optional essay. The score scale will go back to 1600 and wrong answers will no longer count against students. The test will be more based on students justifying their answers, not just filling in bubbles. The change is in hopes to create more opportunities for students and steer them away from guessing.
And now let's go to Jeremy for news on the Oscars and more.
DiCaprio will just have to keep waiting. Matthew McConaughey took home the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in Dallas Buyers Club. Many were hoping Leo would get his first long-awaited Oscar, but that just wasn't the case. 12 Years a Slave was awarded the Oscar for Best Picture. The Oscar makes history as it's the first movie from a black director to win the award. And the former home of reality TV star Khloe Kardashian and former NBA star Lamar Odom has been robbed of $250,000 in jewelry. The house was not being occupied by anybody at the time the items were stolen. The house is currently being sold to Big Bang Theory star Kaylee Kuko. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Jeremy. And now let's go to Steph to see what's going on in the world.
Thanks, guys. The crisis in Ukraine continues as lawmakers in the Crimean region voted in favor of leaving the country for Russia and having the people of Crimea decide in 10 days. After U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met in Rome today with European Union leaders, the Department of State has decided to impose visa bans on Ukraine and Russian officials responsible for threatening the sovereignty of Ukraine. President Barack Obama has also signed an executive order enabling further sanctions against individuals and entities responsible for this crisis. A 30,000-year-old virus has risen from the dead. Well, not so much that, as recently discovered frozen in the ground of Siberia. The ancient virus Pithovirus sibericum is known to survive back when woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers were alive. Even though this particular virus infects amoebas, not humans, we can't say the same for other viruses that may still be frozen in our polar regions. I'm Stephanie Gano, back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Stephanie. A kind gesture from a little boy. Miles Eckert found $20 in the parking lot of a Cracker Barrel. He was going to buy a video game, but then he saw a soldier, Frank Daly, that reminded him of his father who had died. Eckert gave him the money and a note telling Daly he reminded Eckert of his father, a soldier who has passed.
According to the Burke Museum of Natural History and Culture, paleontologists safely removed the largest fossilized mammoth tusk on Friday. The fossil was found on Tuesday and is 8 feet and 6 inches long. Burke paleontologists estimate the tusk is at least 16,000 years old. Mammoths are ancient elephant relatives that once inhabited North America. They became extinct at the end of the Ice Ages about 10,000 years ago.
Now let's go to our in-house soccer superstar Gina for an update on what's going on in sports.
The friendly matches continue as the world prepares for the FIFA World Cup. On Tuesday, host country Brazil had an easy win over South Africa for a final score of 5-0. Barcelona player Neymar took center stage, scoring 3 of 5 goals. Brazil is scheduled to play further friendlies with Panama and Serbia before the World Cup. Ukraine beat the United States 2-0 in their World Cup friendly game earlier this week. Despite the political tensions at home, nearly 1,300 Ukrainians were in attendance. LeBron James sets a career high, scoring 61 points. The Miami Heat played the Charlotte Bobcats on Monday night at home. The Heat takes on the San Antonio Spurs tonight. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Gina. Now over to John for today's weather update.
Okay, thanks, guys. As you can see, today it's going to be partly cloudy. The temperature right now is 31 and low is 25. But luckily, since now that we're actually in March, it looks for the 5-day forecast, temperatures are going to be starting to rise up. On Friday, it's going to be cloudy with a high of 44 and a low of 32. On Saturday, the temperatures rise up yet again, partly cloudy with a high of 52 and then a low of 34. Sunday, temperatures start to dip down a bit with it being partly cloudy and a high of 44 and a low of 33. Monday, once again, the temperatures rise with it being mostly cloudy and the temperature being 52 of a high and 39 of a low. And then on Tuesday, the temperatures are at the highest they've been in a while, with it being 57 degrees and a low of 36. And now as we take a look at our weather window, I mean, as you can see, I mean, we're getting some significant meltdown. I mean, no one wants to see snow, but unfortunately we got it there. But as the temperature rises, the snow will definitely start to disappear, and that guy's hanging out. So the weather must be cool enough for someone to actually be outside. And as we meander on over.
Thanks, John. Thanks for watching the National Rundown. I'm Sean Stiles.
And I'm Jeremy Rodriguez. Have a great weekend.